one home that is on fire. The other structure next to it seems to be a cinder block or some type of stucco home, which may not be as accessible to take off in these types of conditions. But yeah, you can tell it almost looks wood to me. Does it look like a wood structure?
It does. Yeah, it does. But then again, these stucco homes have, you know, a wood foundation, so you don't want it to get in the up into the attic area as well. So I mean, a fire that hot, it's going to be burning super hot, and wood like that is going to create its own embers, and they could blow in this community. The good news might be that most of the embers will blow out into the ocean from here.
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, there's a lot going on down there. You can see structure protection. They're getting to that house, which would be on the east side, to the left side of the home that is on fire. And obviously, this home is a complete loss, and they'll probably lose it all the way to the right side of your screen where those solar panels are. It appears that's all one entire structure right there. Firefighters are just trying to get as much water on it as possible. Again, I don't think the helicopters will make a drop on this. They may, it's possible, but we almost never see that. But right now, they're just trying to contain it to that structure. As we pull out a little bit, gives you an idea how many homes are sectioned along Malibu Road here, just south of PCH in Malibu. We're a pretty steep shot because they put us way up in the atmosphere here to stay away from the airplanes and the helicopters. There's another area here, and you can see what they have burning. It's medium to light brush. The helicopters are trying to make sure they knock down as much of this as possible as a fire burns downhill towards these homes. But it's that home on the left that's the only one that we've seen actually ignite and start on fire. But that home is going to be a loss, and the battle now is to make sure it doesn't spread. But as you look at this, it gives you an idea what high winds do with a fire. We've got winds out here. It was about 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour at Van Nuys. Up in Oxnard, it's 45 miles an hour. So it's anybody's guess down on the ground, but probably close to 50-mile-an-hour gusts. And it makes it nearly impossible to save a home once it starts on fire in conditions like these. One good thing is, Philip, if you can imagine if those homes would have been further north, and then you had had a row of homes next to it, which would be south of it, we really would have lost a lot of homes. Because it's right on the ocean here, there's nothing to the south of it except for the water, so it's not going to spread initially to any other homes. It could to the ones adjacent to it, but right now fire crews are in position. They're trying to make sure they water down those other homes and they save the other homes, and they just try and maintain or contain the fire in the home that's ablaze right now.
Scott, this shot right here, this angle shows, if you can zoom in on the house next door, you can see the damage, the smoke damage there to the side of the house, the top of the screen. Yeah, that's an overhang. So if you can imagine, I mean, think about that fire. If we zoom, yeah, right in there, see how that's stretched out over the water? That is for the firefighters to be able to keep that home from catching on fire, because think of the access for fire there. I mean, if it got under that balcony, deck, that home would have been a total loss.
Yeah, that's the worry. You know, once we talked about that initially, we just had a brush fire. The worry was once it got into one home, there's so much of these thick embers, this heavy fuel that is burning inside the home. It doesn't take much to get under a balcony on another home and start a fire in there.
That was the worry for that. That's what it looks like right there, Scott. It's that balcony to the left.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking at, but it very well could be. I don't see any black smoke coming from there right now.
No. I'm sorry.
Pushing it out over the ocean.
Yeah, the side of the home is black from smoke damage.
Yeah, I saw that.
But that balcony was what I was talking about that was so scary, from the fact that was intense fire burning right next door, and it would have been very easy for it to get under that next door balcony. I was just saying that the firefighters being able to stop that from happening was very impressive.
It's interesting, push back into, there's been a little bit of a wind shift. Now, initially the wind was pushing the fire straight back towards the ocean. A moment ago, it was pushing off to the right, which would be to the west. So this is a wind-driven type issue. If it all of a sudden blows back to the east, and the winds are swirling out here, then it would burn towards one of the other homes. If it burns south, then like it is right now, the wind is south, it goes right over the ocean. But if it swirls around and goes east or west, it's going to go to one of those homes on either side of the home that's on fire. And that would change everything, and we do get that a lot in these Santa Ana wind conditions. You know, most of it's out of the north, the northeast, or the southwest, but from time to time you get down towards the ocean, it just swirls around. It comes from everywhere, and that can really complicate their battle to try and stop this fire from spreading to that other home.
And I do notice, Scott, along with the fight at the house, on the other side of the road right there, you also had ground crews that were working to stop it from just flaring up at all, up against the guardrails just opposite of the home. And then you have this spot which seems to be problematic because there's a lot more fuel right there.
Yeah, there's that one row of heavy fuel, and there's the helicopter, and really that is the key. Like I mentioned earlier, they wanted to try and get this before the exposure was too big. You keep it to 5 or 6 acres, you can really hit all the areas with the helicopter. It gets to 20 or 30 acres, all of a sudden it's really difficult to get resources where you need them. As far as the fire is concerned on the grass where it started, it looks really good. They have firefighters surrounding it at this point in time. Right down in here, it looks pretty good. Helicopters are still making drops, they're keeping an eye on it. But all that fuel above those homes was what was of concern as the fire or the wind pushed the fire down the hill towards these homes right on the ocean. Now, if we give you a wide shot here real quick, you see those trees moving. There's a lot of wind out here. That is a concern right up there, but they're trying to get to that brush now. That's where the helicopters are going to hit, because you could tell if they can knock that little area down right there, then they can stop the fire from spreading down towards those homes right there on Malibu Road as well. So that is key, but overall, just looking at the area that burned, they've done a real good job. If we get a wider shot here, just within the last 10 minutes or so, of knocking down most of the brush that was burning. And that's really was the role of the helicopters, to get that knocked down as quickly as possible. And then now they just have a lot of concern about that home. We'll push back in. As far as I can tell, Philip, it's just one house. So they've been able to contain it to just that one home, but we're not out of the woods. We got a lot of wind here. We still have a lot to burn in that home. And as we've been talking about, the concern is it'll spread to other houses here on Malibu Road.
Scott, I did think I saw fire at another house, but it's up the coast. If we could go up the coast, it looked as if underneath it was a white home, and right about there, if we nope, not up that far. It's right now that white house there, and maybe just a little bit south of it, or just down to the left, screen left, I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go. There was underneath a balcony, there was something on fire. If we could keep going, maybe it was even that house, that one. It was just there. There we go. There were flames that were coming under one of the homes, and maybe zoom in. Not there. It's not that far. It's up that way. I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. I'll let you keep that shot because Shayla is here. This is not under control yet, but we wanted to talk about another fire that's in Moorpark. So this one is Malibu, and we've lost one structure. They're still trying to get it. It's about 5 acres. But Shayla, you have a map of where this is on Balcom Canyon Road in Moorpark?
Yes, Balcom Canyon Road. Like you said, this is the second fire we've seen breaking out this morning. This one out in Moorpark, and we've been told already 250 acres and a very fast-moving fire. This is coming from the Ventura County Sheriff. So far, we've been told that evacuations and road closures are in progress. We don't have exact details on where those are just yet, but we'll keep you posted as we learn more. Right now, we know, looking like it's just north of the 101 as you head into Moorpark. That's very close to Thousand Oaks, not quite to Simi Valley. This is on Balcom Canyon Road, and again, evacuations, road closures in process. As soon as we learn more from the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, we'll keep you posted. We do know, though, this is an area that's not only under a high wind warning, so these are sustained winds upwards of 25, even 30 miles per hour, but it's also, of course, under that red flag warning because we're dealing with very dry and windy conditions. You can see Scott's shot right there of a Malibu. It's a perfect example of what these fire crews are dealing with right now. Now, we talked about the wind speeds in Malibu a little bit earlier, where one of those fires is burning, but I want to show you, this is for Moorpark. This is not the conditions fire crews ever want to see. Sustained winds up to 50 miles per hour are in the picture right now. And you'll notice they die down a little bit as you head into the afternoon, but not by much. Still seeing winds, gusts over 40 miles per hour, even in the 30s as you head into this evening. Now, it will die down a bit as we get into tonight, but this is a prolonged Santa Ana wind event. So we are talking about winds 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusts close to 50 miles per hour as we head into this evening and tomorrow as well. So that's why it's so important that these crews get a handle of these fires right away. Right now, taking a live look at the wind speeds we're seeing out there, all the purple, the magenta you see, that's gusts over 50 miles per hour, and we are continuing to see that across town. I want to show you this. So Malibu, where one of those fires is burning, right now seeing winds 50 miles per hour. As you head up towards Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks, that's where the Balcom Canyon fire is burning. We're seeing winds 40 to 50 miles per hour in that area. Again, not something these fire crews need to be dealing with. They're talking about windy and very dry conditions. And the story doesn't get much better as you head south. Malibu Hills seeing winds over 30 miles per hour. Burbank right now seeing wind speeds over 30 miles per hour. And look at Santa Clarita, winds close to 60 miles per hour. hour this morning. Long Beach, that's a big jump over what we saw just a few minutes ago. You're now seeing winds up to 20 miles per hour. Anaheim, you can't see because I'm standing in front of it, but seeing winds and gusts over 50 miles per hour. Riverside, Banning, San Bernardino, you are getting picture all of these areas seeing winds close to 40 miles per hour. So this is a live look from our Glendale sky cam. You can see this is a really widespread wind event. Right now, winds at 20 miles per hour, and of course, just the trees blowing in the wind. So we are dealing with quite a bit of watches and warnings as we head into the next 24 hours. It's going to be a great day if you can to stay inside, stay off the roads. Even driving right now is hazardous, especially for high-profile vehicles. High wind warnings you can see in place across much of Southern California. Those sustained winds, you saw them just moments ago, 35 to 50 miles per hour, gusts 60 to 80 miles per hour, and we could see isolated gusts up to 100 miles per hour. And these winds, I mean, the sustained winds of 30 to 50 miles per hour, that is not just our higher elevations. That is across town. That is the coast, and that is so rare to see from one of these Santa Ana wind events. This is sticking around until tomorrow, and of course, these red flag warnings too. So when you're dealing with these dangerous winds and these extremely dry conditions, it's what makes it so hazardous for these fire crews. And I mean, we're seeing right now the sky camera or Scott shot in Malibu. We've also got this second fire now burning in Ventura County, Phillip. It's the combination that you never want to see.
No, 250 acres and road closures and trying to get people out of that area, keep them out of that area. So we'll continue to follow what's going on in Moorpark, but we're returning our attention again to Scott Reif in Malibu. And Scott, it did look as if you found another home that was possibly, this one is on fire, and we fear it's a total loss. But I think you zoomed in on one of them that looked right as if there was a problem. That's the one that I was speaking of earlier.
I think that's the one you saw. There was a report of a fire under the balcony on this home. They're sending resources to it right now. The other home that's on fire, and it's going to be a loss, they have firefighters in both homes next to it, on both sides, adjacent to it. They have firefighters inside the house right now. You can see they got pretty good structure protection. They've gone defensive. They're hitting it with a water canyon, trying to get as much water on it as possible. We'll go back out to that other home there, Phillip, though, and we'll push in. And that white smoke right there is a concern because the report was they're sending units to this location because there may be fire under the balcony there, and that is a huge concern if fire starts to creep up inside that house. Not only that, it looks like there's not nearly the type of structure protection that we had a little bit further, which would be to the east. It's almost like fire crews have not got down to this area yet, so timing is going to be critical. They need to get there quickly and try and get that fire out under the balcony before that starts to engulf that structure, because then we have more problems. I want to give you a wide shot, though, and just give you a little perspective of everything. Now, the brush, for the most part, has been knocked down. The fire is just burning along Malibu Road, and we have those homes that we've been talking about that we're concerned about. But from my perspective, I can't show it to you, but I can see the smoke for the Moorpark fire, and that fire has the potential to do a lot of damage in these types of winds because there is so much fuel associated with that fire. With this fire, there's not that much fuel. They're not going to allow this fire to spread to the east or the west or to the north. That's PCH right there, and you see the helicopter is making a drop. That's Pepperdine. That's part of Pepperdine right there. And PCH is shut down in both directions. Hand crews are out here already. It looks like they're doing a great job on the portion of the fire that is burning in the brush. Let's look at the homes one more time. So it gives you just an idea and a perspective of where this fire could go. It can't really go any further than these homes down on Malibu Road. But when I look out my window, you can't see it. When I see the smoke pouring up out in that area of Moorpark, it just really concerns me because once a big forest fire gets going in these winds, it can be nearly impossible to stop, and it can burn for days. So this fire in and of itself probably burned between 7 and 8 acres. You see the helicopter continuing to make water drops, and now we have all those homes that we're concerned about. Push into that home one more time there, Marcel. That's the structure, Phillip, right there that you saw when we panned by through the smoke. We didn't see it. Your monitors are so much bigger and better than ours up here in the helicopter. You can see a little bit of smoke out there swirling. That's what they're concerned about. On that balcony, there was a report that there may have been a fire just getting started.
Yeah, I saw flames at that home. And that, to me, Scott, is what's interesting about this particular fire. On the one hand, the fire in Moorpark, 250 acres, that's massive. This one, these two homes so far apart from each other, and yet they both have a fire concern. One, a total loss. The other is just getting started. And that's the nature of these wildfires. These embers can go and get started, and your attention is so focused on one It was just happenstance that I saw the flames as you scanned by it. You mentioned your monitors are not like ours. So I was able to see it, but you know, the fire crews too, their attention is diverted, and sometimes when these little fires begin, they can get going very quickly in these winds because the attention is focused elsewhere.
Yeah, there's no question it's chaotic, and you have somebody in charge of this fire, but it's hard to get everybody in the right place at the right time. They do an incredible job of it. There's no question about that. They practice it over and over again. But these homes along this ridge line are all suspect. I think, though, they have structure protection in place on these homes. The home that they're going to lose to the right and to the left of that, we understand firefighters are inside those structures. I want to go back to the right, though. Is that the home right there that we're worried about, Marcel? We change our angle, so it's hard to tell from time to time as we fly overhead. Fortunately, we're not seeing any thick, heavy smoke, Philip. What worries me, though, is I don't see any firefighters out front. I don't see any fire units. It's almost like they've been blocked further to what would be the east as we pan to the left, and they have a hard time getting past that point. So they need to get over there, and I'm sure they will as soon as possible. Right now, though, things look much, much better than they did, say, 15 or 20 minutes ago when the fire was raging down the hillside. You had medium to light brush, but, boy, it was putting up a lot of smoke and enough embers to catch one home on fire. The fire in the brush has really been knocked down. Now the concern is the fire spreading across those row of homes right on Malibu Road, right on PCH here, right off of PCH on the Pacific Ocean. And certainly they're going to try and get in there and make sure they stop it from spreading. But there's the other home, once again, we're concerned about, but we haven't seen it get any worse. And boy, when you push in, all the way in, Marcel, you can see the trees. I mean, the wind is just howling down there. Probably about 50-mile-an-hour winds at this point.
Well, and one thing, Scott, that I've noticed with this and the attack on this is there are advantages to this particular firefight, not least of which is those helicopters could see everything off the coast. They're looking back. So anything that might get under a balcony, they'd be able to see. But they're also, Scott, able to get right on top of it. Topography has helped with them as well. So we're going to continue to monitor this. We're going to wrap this one up. Scott's going to stay above it and keep an eye on it. And again, remember, we have a fire burning 250 acres in Moorpark. But stay with us here on Eyewitness News. We'll keep you posted as to what happens with this intense wind event that we have.